Hey friends, how's it going? I'm gonna do a quick video today on the way to the shops about what cars I have owned. So Caitlin's on the video filmer and we're in her CX-3 today, which is a lovely little automobile. I'm happy to make a video about that later if anyone's actually interested. But yeah, I just thought it'd be cool to go through the cars I have had during my years. So, how long have I had my license now? It would be
like
7 years I've had my license.
Yeah, give or take.
And I've had, 14 cars? Something like that. I had to write it down on a list how many cars I've had because I couldn't remember all the cars I had. So I had to go through all my old Facebook photos and stuff and my photo bucket just to remember what cars I owned. But essentially I started on my learners, so learning to drive in my parents' Honda Jazz and then my dad's Saab 9.3 Turbo, which is a cool car. I enjoyed that car a lot. But essentially my first car, which I bought with my own money, I was still on my L's, and I basically went on to car sales, which is like the Australian thing where you look and find and buy cars, and I tried to find the oldest car I could buy for $7,000 that was actually road registered. And so my first car was a 1967 Chrysler Valiant. You liked that car, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was the best.
I know your mum hated that car.
I hated it too.
What?
Sitting in it was like sitting in a pile of sweat.
Yeah, it had vinyl bench seats. So in Australian summer when it's like 40 degrees, it's just literally you just stick to the seat and sweat. But I had that and I got my license in that car. And everyone thought it was sick. I rocked up to school and it had white wall tires on it. Hey look, Highway Patrol.
Hello.
Hey mate.
Pull us over.
What was I saying? Yeah, white wall tires on it. I put sound system in it, but I hid it in the glove box so it looked original. I did a few cool things like that. I remember one day I found out it wasn't waterproof when I took it through a car wash and the whole thing filled up with foam. And so eventually it got to the point where it was getting a lot of rust. It needed all the door seals and boot seals and everything replaced. So I just decided to sell the car and that would be enough. After that, so I was just finished high school. I think I was in my first year of university. And so I wanted to buy something cheap, and just around the corner from Kate's place this guy was selling a Mitsubishi Verada, which is like the fancy version of a Magna, right? And it was $500 with rego. Still had rego. And so I bought that car and I was like, this car was $500, it really doesn't matter what happens to this car. And so I decided to go to Bunnings and buy fence paint, and I spray painted it matte black. And I went online, I was like, oh, I need to lower the car, right? And I went on eBay and I saw all these lowering springs and they're all $400 or $500. And there was this one listing for some lowering springs and it was $140. And I was like, $140? Man, that's cheap. That's awesome. So I ordered them, bought them. I set up with these Magna forum people, lovely people, kind of strange, to help me install the lowering springs. And so we all met up, we got there, we opened the box, and there were only springs for the rear shocks. So I only had lowering springs for the back. And I was like, well, look, we're all already here. Let's just put them in anyway. So I lowered the rear of the car by 45 millimeters and I left the front standard height. So it drove like this. And I never put springs in the front. I just left it like that. And I ended up selling it for $800 a few months later. Because, these guys thought the matte black paint was awesome. After that, I think that's when I got the Lancer. Did I get the Lancer after that?
Yeah.
So the Lancer was my first new car. So it was in 2011 I got that car. And It was just like an active 2-litre automatic. I had to get an automatic because it wasn't really just my car. It was my parents' car as well. So it's sort of like my car that I used daily to get around to uni and work and stuff, but then my parents would use it as well. And so that car was sort of just like, I didn't really, like in the end I sort of, you know, had a few times put different wheels on it and did a few little things to it. But overall that was really like, I just mostly left it alone. And to that point, I hadn't learned how to drive manual yet, and I was getting more and more into my cars, and I was like, I really want to learn manual, you know, this is something that I want to do. So I was like, well, I need to have a manual car in order to learn manual, because my parents are European, so they don't like driving manual in Australia because it's on the opposite side, so they just never bothered. So I went online and I found a Datsun 120Y manual, and it had like 2 owners. It was mint, and so I got a friend of mine to drive me out there. He dropped me off. I bought the car after the guy test drove it for me because I didn't know how to drive it. Gave him the cash, and then I drove it home in peak hour traffic down Parramatta Road, and I stalled a lot of times, but by the end of it I got home and I knew the basics of how to drive a manual, and I continued to learn teach myself how to drive manual in that car. In that car, you know, I was like, okay, cool. It had a carbureted 1.2 litre. I was like, this thing is slow as balls. So I decided to put in a 1.8 litre instead. And we got halfway through the engine conversion, and this other Datsun 200B wagon popped up for sale. And so it was in my friend's garage. We were doing that.
Another highway patrol.
They're everywhere at the moment. We were putting the engine conversion in there. And so he was like, okay, I'll buy it off you and you can go buy this other car. So then we got in our VL Commodore, which is your brother's VL Commodore. Got a renter trailer, which was the dodgiest trailer ever, and we went and picked it up, and it was a non-runner at that time. And that car, I just sunk so much money into fix and to get road legal and everything. You remember that? That was a nightmare. And it was just such a chore that it took all the fun out of it. And by the end of it, when
it was more effort than it was worth.
Yeah, by the end of it, when I'd finally put it together and had it running, I was so excited and I was so happy about it, but I was just over it. I was over the car and I was over the process, and I just sort of wanted to cut my losses, so I ended up just selling it. Pretty much a couple months after I finished it, because I was just so sick of it. Alright, we're going to go in, do our grocery shopping, and then we'll finish the rest of the video on the way home. Alright, we got all our groceries for our chicken, mushroom and leek pies for dinner. So, last car was a 200B. Then I bought a Hyundai XL, and I bought that purely just to fix it up a little bit and flip it wheeler dealer style. So I only had that for like 3.5 weeks. You know that one, the green one? The number plate was VJJ, so we called it the vagina. Then after that I had another Datsun. That was my 280Z. And back then I didn't know much about, as much as I know now about cars and what to look for when you're buying them and things. And so I loved that car. I had a lot of fun, but as soon as I got it home, I realized they had 2 bolt-on spaces and a slip-on spacer to run these wheels that didn't fit, which was like a pretty dead giveaway that they didn't really know what they were doing with the car. And then I realized soon after that the chassis rail in the engine bay was actually bent. It had been in an accident, and I didn't pick it up when I bought it. I think I was just so excited about owning a Z. So yeah, I sold that. Obviously I told the guy who bought it that it was bent and all that sort of thing, so it wasn't a great buy. But I did enjoy that car, and I do one day want to own like a 240Z. That'd be awesome. What's next? I can't remember after that. Oh, then I had no. So after the Datsun, I had a Civic, because I wanted something newer, and something that I could get into, a bit of track work with. And so I bought a EH Civic, which is basically an EG Civic, but it's the sedan version, and it had a B20 bottom end with a B18 Type R head, and that thing was a lot of fun. It was like pretty sleeper, went well. I enjoyed that car a lot. Took it to the track a couple of times. It sounded sick on crossover, like when VTEC kicked in. It was so loud, just I can't remember why I sold that car. I can't for the life of me remember. I think I
The
just
white one.
No, it was baby blue, the baby blue one. I can't remember why. I think I just got over it. So,
Yeah.
what's old mate doing here? In your car. Then after that was when I got my club spec. So the club spec was my second new car, and I love that thing to bits. That thing was awesome. I was like, when I got that car, I was so invested in the car scene. Do you remember? Like, I went to every single car meet. I
never saw you.
I was a massive wheel whore. I went through at least like 10 sets of wheels on that car.
At least.
I went through like a whole bunch of different suspension setups. And then in the end, I sort of like grew out of like the stance car show scene, and then I started building that car for track. So I put, a big brake kit on it, C28s with Air50 racing slicks and all that sort of thing.
And all that jazz.
Yeah, and then in the end, I think that was around the time I was having issues with my knees, and so I wanted to get automatic. And then as well, there was just a couple other like influencing factors. Why is this so close to my face?
Because he said, and then,
oh. And yeah, and then I was just like, okay, so that one went. Then after that, I was like, oh, you know what, this is a good opportunity to save some money or whatever. So, actually, during the ownership of the club spec, I forgot, while I was owning the club spec, I had the opportunity to buy an A86. And
that's fantastic.
I loved that thing. It only cost me $1,200, that A86, which is so cheap. And I really wish I kept it, even though at the time I just didn't have the money to finish it. I should have just let it sit under a tarp in my driveway. So when I bought it, it was non-running, like the clutch wouldn't engage, all this sort of stuff.
They're flashing.
The
highway patrols are
the highway
here.
patrol's still here. So yeah, like...
I'll put it down here.
Just so the cops don't ping us.
Yeah.
It was a non-runner. It was like a whole bunch of different colours, but I got it home, and all we had to do was just like give it new fluids, service it, and it was good to go. Like it drove and it was fine. I had a whole bunch of rust and stuff on it, so I learnt a little bit about cutting out rust and doing that kind of work to it. And then it got to the point where it needed a lot of money spent on it, like it needed a full respray and all these other things, and I just didn't have the money to do it at the time, so I sold it for a little bit of a profit. But the owner who took it over after me, like, did what I wanted to do to it. Painted it like this army green color with wide flares and stuff. It looks sick. And then after that, I bought a Honda again. So I bought a EK4 VTIR. So that comes factory with the B16A2. I think it's an A2. And that was just sort of, just basic mods. And I was planning to, track that car and all that sort of thing, but I just found it so, like, the standard seats are so uncomfortable for me. I just couldn't stand it. I don't know if it was my height or something with the seat. Do you remember? The seats were so bad. So then I bought a Sprint Sparko to put in it, which was a fixed back seat, which was a terrible decision. I don't know why.
They were really uncomfortable.
I don't know why I put fixed backs in it, because it was basically a street car. And then basically after that I was like, oh fuck it, and I just sold the car because the seats were annoying me. I don't know, it just was like the stupidest thing. I don't know, a lot of my decisions around cars don't really make sense, and that was one of my... You
just change your mind all the time.
Yeah, I was like, I got over the car because I was sick of the seat that I bought and put it, I don't know, that was stupid. But after that was when I bought my Golf GTI. So I got another automatic, so it was the DSG, and it had a KO4 in it. It ran like a 12.6 quarter mile. It was like 210 kilowatts at the front wheels or something, and it was just, that thing was pretty sweet. You like driving that car?
That was my favourite.
Yeah, because when you upshift, it would go rah,
plus it was automatic, so I could actually.
Yeah, and you could drive it. I did try to teach you a little bit about how to drive manual on the club spec, but it's not really for you. Yeah. So there was that, and I had that for a while actually. Like over a year, which is a long time for me to have a car. And I did a lot of things that made it my own, and I sort of started getting a little bit back into the scene, taking it to meets and whatever. So that was cool. And then, bless you.
Thanks.
I got to the point where I got bored of driving automatic again, and that's when I bought the K24 FD2 Civic. which there are videos on this channel of the build, the whole process of that. And then after that Civic, I bought my... Why are you doing this? You're going to make them seasick.
Like sick camera work.
Yeah, and then after that I bought the STI, which everyone on this channel now knows that I just recently sold. So at the moment I'm carless. I bought an Opal card. For anyone who doesn't know, who doesn't live in Australia, this is how you get around in Australia in the shitty public transport system, Opal card. And then Kate and I are sharing the CX-3, which is her car, so...
Which has this sick mod ready.
Yeah, it has the JDM mod, bro.
Hey.
Everyone knows the JDM mod, bro, the Broadway mirror. And then, yeah, we'll just see what happens. I've got some ideas about what I want next, but I'm not really sure. But that's the history of my cars that I've owned. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions about any of the cars, or want some more information about them, just let me know in the comments. I'll hook you guys up. And I wanted to say thank you to everyone, because we just hit over 200 subscribers, which is sick. We just hit 202 today, which is really cool. I don't really expect that, so that was awesome. So thank you guys so much for that. And yeah, appreciate it, and hopefully see you guys in the next video. Ciao.